Hi, and welcome to Petology, your one-stop shop for all things fuzzy, furry, feathery, and scaly. We even have some scales coming up for you later in the show. I'm your host, Blair Miles-Stravich. Today we're going to talk about cold weather in your pets, as well as some very important first aid for your pets. But first, let's throw it over to my co-host, Antonio, for Meet the Pets.
Hey, we're back here in the green room meeting some of our pets for the show today. Here we have Baxter hanging out with Marlene. Look at this pretty face. Look at this puppy. Gonna get a little bit of television today. You having a good time over here?
I am. I just love doing this.
Excellent. It's great. We're happy to have you back. Over here we have Lynn. How you doing today, Lynn?
I'm just fine. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I see you brought some fuzzy friends today. Who do we have?
We have Nash and Nemo from Craig Street Cats. They are 6-month-old kittens, and they're looking for their forever homes.
Wonderful. Forever homes. These guys are really cute. And over here, we have Steve from Prairie Exotics with, what have you got here?
Clue is a ball or royal python from Africa.
Royal African Python.
Yes, sir.
That's legendary. We're going to be definitely learning about all of our pets today back here, so this will be fun.
While Antonio makes his way back into the studio, I'm going to introduce you guys to our expert panel. We have Kara Harder, she's a veterinary technologist, and we have Dr. Corey Bartley, veterinarian. Now, Kara, first of all, tell me what a veterinarian technologist is.
I get that question a lot, and I like to explain us as the nurses in the vet world. So we do a lot of the prep for surgeries, lab work. We do the IV catheterization, getting them ready for anesthesia, monitoring the anesthesia, a lot of client relations, all the other stuff that the vets are too busy to do and that we can help out for.
Awesome. So you brought a furry guest
Yes.
on. Antonio's made his way back, and he brought a guest. Who is this?
Baxter's here.
Baxter.
Yeah, this is Baxter. She
Okay.
is a friend of mine's dog who was adopted from the Winnipeg Humane Society as a puppy. She's a 3-year-old Rottweiler mix.
Awesome.
Super sweet.
Very
Super
sweet.
sweet.
So I saw her in the green room, very adorable, and very relaxed considering how many lights are here, so that's
Yeah,
great.
she's ready for camera.
So I also see these snazzy things on the table here. We're going to move into what we're talking about. The topic that Kara's going to start off with is about colder weather. Now, what are these for?
So these are booties for your dog. These are fitted for Baxter. And they're important because, as we all know, winter is coming, and our winters can be quite harsh and cold. And just like we can't be walking around barefoot outside, they shouldn't be walking around without protection on their paws for long periods of time.
Now, I just have a question in general. Are different breeds okay with the snow, or?
There's definitely some breeds that are much fit for our winters, such as Great Pyrenees, St. Bernard, any double-coated long hair or long fur dogs. And then the small dogs that have thin, short hairs, probably not so much for our winters, and if so, not for long periods of time.
Okay, so now this looks like probably a job you know how to do. I don't want to attempt this because I probably wouldn't be able to. But you're gonna show us how to put this onto Baxter.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So, as you can see, it's very important that they're water repellent and that they fit properly and are going to stay on. Baxter has worn them a couple times, so she's kind of used to it. Not quite walking around that much, but if you see, we'll hold her paw up to the booty, and we can tell it's a good fit. It's held on with Velcro, which works really well. You never want to tie on booties with elastic bands or anything too tight that would cut off circulation. So get your dog used to the paw handling. A lot of dogs don't like this. Luckily, Baxter is very good and cooperative.
So relaxed, just letting you know.
Yeah, she's not impressed, but she's used to it. So I'm gonna Velcro that one on.
Okay.
You gotta put the paw down.
Okay. She's like, I don't know.
Every year, the first few times they wear them, they're not thrilled about them. But as they start to realize that this is what's allowing them to walk around and not feel the pinch of cold on their feet, most dogs get really adjusted to it, and they start really tolerating them really well.
Maybe the issue is that's last season's boots.
It's possible, yeah.
A lot of stuff.
I've heard that purple is this year's color.
Oh,
so,
yeah, see?
might be something
And
more along those
I mean,
lines.
that goes with the coat very nicely. I like it.
Yeah.
So, and once they're outside and at the park or wherever, they get used to it and hopefully forget about them.
Getting used to it, I see. All right, so that's how you put those on. And that'll help, obviously not in super extreme cold weather. That's just to get them through basically for their quick walk for necessities and then bring them back in after they're done.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's have a seat. Come here, Baxter. Come on back.
Baxter.
We'll let Antonio come back. So one thing we want to talk about too is, the booties, of course, serve a purpose. They're adorable, but they serve a very important purpose. But what's some of the things people should remember about their dogs as we move into this chilly season?
For sure. I mean, you are absolutely right that not every dog is designed to be outside in really cold weather. I mean, there are some breeds that can do great and can be out for extended periods of time, but there are many dogs. I mean, if you think of like a tiny little Chihuahua, that is not a dog that is meant to be outside in cold weather for any significant period of time. At most, they're going to go out, do their business, and come back inside. And it all depends on the size of the dog, the length of the coat, what temperatures are like outside. -5 is a far cry from -40 with a wind chill. And when you get down to really extreme temperatures, even a larger dog probably should not be left outside for extended periods of time without some kind of shelter or insulation. And for the most part, there's many, many dogs that probably should be coming inside if it gets that cold.
And that period of time would fluctuate, right? Depending, of course, how cold it is. Like, when it's, I don't know anything, but when it's a certain amount of degrees, it's the time will get longer or shorter, depending
Absolutely,
on
yeah. If it's -10, you can be out for longer. If it's -40, you're only going to be out for a short period of time. And if you're a big dog, you can be out longer. But if you're a teeny tiny little dog with a short coat, you're going to be out for a very short
How
period
can
of
you
time.
tell if your pet is cold?
He just took my question. That's how awesome he is.
I mean, they're going to give a
He's
lot of
on
the
it.
same. They're going to give a lot of the same indicators that a person would. I mean, they're going to be shivering and they're not going to be able to stand still. For a lot of dogs, if their feet are getting cold, they're going to be lifting them up because they're going to start feeling like the cold is almost burning their feet. So they'll be lifting them up like that, and they won't be able to keep them down and sitting down for very long. So.
Now, what's some of the have you guys seen situations where a dog has come in from being in the cold? What is that like? What's the dog's reaction like?
Well, dogs and most certainly cats, we see a lot in the winter coming in with frostbite or more severe damages. You'll start to see like painful paws, definitely in their nail beds. They'll lick and chew at their paws, that's a sign. But frostbite is definitely a worry that we need to be looking out for. And you will see sometimes discoloration of the tissue, hardening, swelling, and then that's when you need to be worried about frostbite.
Yeah, ear tips on dogs and cats, particularly susceptible because there's not a lot of tissue there, so you can have the tips of the ears actually freeze to the point where the tissue will turn white, and there's a risk of it dying off actually, so you have to be really careful.
What should somebody do? Say they're walking through a neighborhood and they see a dog that's been out, and maybe they know the neighborhood well, and they've seen that this dog has been out for a long period of time. What would you recommend somebody do?
They could call 311 and get a hold of animal control and just report that there's a dog that seems to have been out for an extended period of time, or they can call the Humane Society and report it to the Humane Society, and either one of those, groups would be able to come down and investigate the situation.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to a section called the mailbag, where we're going to answer some questions. Are you guys ready for these questions? Antonio, it's okay if you're not ready because you're not an expert. But he's still nervous about it. He's still nervous about answering these questions. So we're going to take one of these questions coming right now. This is an email from Jim. That cat looks like it's giving high fives, so I love it. But the email from Jim says, how often should you clip a cat or dog's claws?
Do you want to do this one?
Sure, I get that question a lot. This is not everyone's favorite thing to do for sure. I always say the more often, the better. The more they'll get more used to the paw handling. A lot of pets don't like their paws and their toes touched. And also the more often you do it, the shorter you can get them and the slower they will grow. So it really depends. I mean, maybe every 2 to 3 weeks, but every pet's different.
Yeah, every pet is different. I say as a bare minimum, you should at least be checking at least once a month. Just go in and look, see, does it look like there's some growth coming off of the quick where it looks like they could use a trim? And you'll get a feel over time for, is a month enough, or is a month actually too long and maybe I should be checking every 3 weeks, or maybe a month is actually plenty of time and we can actually leave it to 4 to 5 weeks
And you'll notice too, like if they're clawing your pants.
Are you going to ask that question?
Scratching.
I was going to ask, how can you tell if they're too long?
I knew it was coming. I looked at you and you were like, he's going to ask that. How can you tell them they're too long?
I mean, there are ways. I mean, first of all, you're going to feel it, right? Because they're going to get sharp and pointy, and you're going to notice that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're going to hear it on the hardwood
And
floors.
catching on things, and blankets.
Yeah, they're going to be catching on fabrics in the carpet, whatnot. With dogs that actually have lighter coats, you can actually see with a white nail, you can see the quick or the soft tissue part on the inside of the nail, and you can actually see how far that extends and how far past that the nail grows. And so we want to clip it fairly close to the quick. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I learned so much right there.
I know.
Like, I might clip my own nails
You
later.
can, you can do it.
So now we have an email from Aaron. It says, I want to get my kids a turtle, but I hear they smell bad. Is that true? And how can I control the scent if that's the case? Before you answer, I will tell you the very first pet that I had. Look at me, camera. Come on, look at me. I'm going to tell this very heartwarming story. My very first pet ever was a turtle. My sister's friends just dropped them off at my house when my parents were away, so there was no way my parents could say no. But anyways, enough about me. Let's answer this question about what's the let's say the theory of turtles smelling.
Well, I mean, there's a natural odor that's associated with turtles, right?
And any pets.
Yeah, or any pet for that matter. And I mean, some people are going to find more pleasant than others. Some people are going to find maybe a little bit less pleasant than others. And so, I mean, with a turtle, you're not going to get rid of a turtle smell if you have a turtle. I mean, there is, to a certain degree, you can help in terms of, I mean, obviously the bigger the enclosure and the more often you're refreshing the environment for the turtle, probably the less odor that you will have, but you're not going to stop a turtle from smelling like a turtle. So.
Cleanliness is important. Just keeping it clean, making sure you're taking your net and filtering out the water, cleaning the filter. They slough their skin off.
I was not good at that.
So you want
That's
to
like the most
so you had a
important
stinky
part.
turtle.
Yeah.
I did have a stinky turtle, and I got in trouble all the time for not cleaning the container properly. But that's because I didn't have Petology to learn all this fantastic stuff.
There you go.
Okay, let's move on to this next question because Lainey needs to know. I'm going away for a week and I can't find anyone to feed my fish. What do I do?
Well, we were talking about this earlier, and honestly, like, I mean, if you're not able to have anybody in your circle of friends that's able to do it, I mean, there are people that probably would be able to do it. Like, you could even look on you know, on the internet circles like Kijiji, where somebody would be willing to do that. There are people who will do time trades where if you are willing to look after their pet for a little while, they will look after your pet for a little while. And honestly, if you really can't find anybody that will look after your pet, then sometimes something like a mechanical feeder is the only way to go. So.
You can buy from a pet store.
Yeah.
So it's not a good idea to like give them a little bit of extra food to like while you're going away?
It's not best. You
yeah.
can, and they can go a while, depending on the fish.
Yeah, there are some fish that can tolerate that, although it's not the greatest for them. There are some fish that might actually be a bad idea. Like if you stuff them full of food and then take off, I mean, for a fish that maybe has a more delicate gastrointestinal system, that can actually be harmful for them, and you could end up hurting the fish.
I have another personal story
Oh,
about
God.
fish. My older sister had a fish when we were younger. She's 10 years older than me. I was just a baby. An adorable baby, but still. And we went away on a trip, and she was like, "We're going away. I'm going to feed the fish a lot of food." So she put a lot of food on, and they came back, and the fish was upside down because fish can't. Fish
They're
couldn't
not
stop
gonna
being like.
ration their meal.
I mean, sometimes I'm not good at rationing my meals, but fish are definitely
won't.
not professional. Now we're gonna look at some great pet photos we got sent in. This is Lily. I like this box. This is like a Christmas present.
Yeah.
Christmas kitty.
Yeah, I love it. But the greatest thing about cats is, adorable as they look, they never really look jazzed about whatever you're doing.
She looks a little ticked off there.
Yeah,
So.
and that's okay.
And that's good. That's a normal cat.
Yeah. Oh, this is Danny looks tough.
He's wearing a shirt.
Yeah, I feel like Danny could like box.
He's the boss of the park.
right?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
totally the boss of the park. Yeah.
I love it. I love his ears. Oh, this is Gia. Oh, look at that. This is sent to us
She
by
looks
Joanne.
young.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
she looks
a
like a
puppy.
puppy.
I love-
Yeah.
Look at that ball. He's guarding that ball. All right. Oh.
Oh.
Oh, Gibson. Oh, Gibson looks like, I don't know if I think that's a guy. I'm going to say it's a guy. Gibson sounds like.
Baxter's a girl.
Okay, so just Sarah's just like throwing me under the bus, I guess, on that one.
Oh,
Percy.
Percy.
Percy is out in the
Fluffy.
snow for just a normal amount of time and then going
Yeah.
back inside to be safe.
absolutely.
But that coat's going to keep her a little bit warm.
Yes, yeah. We got a
Awesome.
thicker coat there. So.
Great. So we will be back with more Petology in just a little bit. We have some great segments coming up with some slithery things that I think will be very entertaining for you guys. I'm excited. I hope you guys stick around. We have more Petology coming your way.